Good evening all, I'm Aditi Lamba with the Tuesday night edition of South Asian News. Welcome to Vision of Asia, Voice of Our Community. We are coming to you from our studio in New York City. Here's what's happening tonight in the coronavirus pandemic. More than 1.1 million deaths from the novel virus globally, with tonight at more than 40.6 million cases in the world. In the United States, we are looking at nearly 8.3 million cases of COVID-19 with more than 221,000 deaths. More than half of the states in the nation are now reporting a rise in new infections in what's being called a dreaded fall COVID-19 surge. Experts are saying that with fall and winter, we are looking at more transmission occurring with indoor gatherings and more. Cases are rising in the Midwest and parts of the West in 14 states that have reported their peak COVID-19 hospitalizations. States Alaska, Arkansas, Iowa, Kansas, Kentucky, Montana, Missouri, Nebraska, the Dakotas, Oklahoma, Utah, West Virginia, and Wisconsin. So if you are in these surging states, please remember to mask up, wash your hands, and practice social distancing, the only defense one has until an effective vaccine comes along for the coronavirus. On vaccine, the U.S. Food and Drug Administration has said that the U.S. will not likely have an authorized COVID-19 vaccine before late November if they are lucky. This comes as several candidates and companies are in their vaccines' late-stage trials around the world. Meanwhile, today the CDC, Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, published a report stating that the United States has seen nearly 300,000 deaths so far since January and stated that about two-thirds of those deaths were attributed to COVID-19. The CDC also has endorsed mask wearing, recommending that anyone traveling on airlines, trains, buses, subways, or other public transport wear a mask, and those who don't comply should be ordered to get off the public transportation. The CDC said that the wide use of masks especially helps protect those at higher risk of severe illness from COVID-19, as well as workers who frequently come into close contact with other people. With that, the episode tonight discusses much on the impact of COVID-19 and the presidential elections, along with the South Asian nonprofits. Let's begin by taking a look at the headlines. Assemblywoman Catalina Cruz urges South Asians to vote. Elections 2020, District 39, New York State Assembly. Indian American candidates on November 3rd election and the South Asian Voice, Edison Democratic Organization, New Jersey. Time for a short break. Stay with us on Vision of Asia, Voice of the Community. We'll be right back. And welcome back. I'm Aditi Lamba and this is Vision of Asia, Tuesday night episode of South Asian News. On politics, we are less than 15 days away from what's being considered the most crucial presidential election of the decade between President Donald Trump and Democratic nominee former Vice President Joe Biden. Both are expected to face each other this Thursday in the final presidential debate of the cycle. We want to take this moment and again remind all to exercise the very important right to vote and get your voice counted. Visit vote.org for more information on registration, voting, locations, and much more. Make sure to vote. Millions of Americans have already voted so far, and we want to encourage our South Asian population to ensure that they get their voice heard this election and participate in voting on all levels of the government. And on local and state levels, the Edison Democratic Organization is hosting socially distant events to address the community on the importance and means of voting while promoting its candidates that are running in this election. Here are some members of the Edison Democratic Organization speaking to ITV Gold on their ongoing campaigns and the issues they are fighting for. Again, we encourage all eligible voters to cast your vote. Here is the Edison Democratic Organization, who also wished all a very happy Navratri.
Thank you, ITV, and I want to wish all the viewers of ITV and Rajabhai happy Navratri, and hope these days are good. The important thing is I'm the chairman for the Edison Democratic Organization. It is very, very important that all the residents, all the voters are going to receive a mail-in ballot this year, and it is important to mail this ballot in the mailbox or put it in the two drop locations in Edison. One is in the township location and also in the library on the Grove Avenue. If you go and if you don't go to the polling booth, your vote is going to be considered as a provisional ballot, right? So, which is going to be an optional count. So, it's important that you mail out your ballots this year before the November 3rd. Thank you, and I wish everybody happy Navratri.
Namaste, 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 namo
Hello, ITV Gold viewers. I want to wish everyone a happy Navratri. My name is Moin Patel. I'm running for Board of Education on column number 4 with Jerry Shee and Virginia White, the Edison first team. We're needing your support. Please make sure you mail out your ballots. There's so many homes that we visited today that they have not mailed out yet. It's important that your voice be heard. Please fill out the ballot, mail it in. It's the crucial way, and this is the only way that you will be able to get your voice heard. Thank you so much.
એડિસન સ્કૂલ બોર્ડની અંદર ઇલેક્શનમાં લડે છે. પટેલનો છોકરો છે, બહુ જ મહેનત કરે છે, કોમ્યુનિટી માટે પૂરતું ધ્યાન આપે છે. ઘણી વખત ઘણા લોકો બોલે તો એને ગમતું નથી, કારણ કે મોહિન હંમેશા સાચું બોલે છે. જ્યાં વિરોધ કરવાનો હોય ત્યાં મોહિન હંમેશા વિરોધ કરે છે. અને આ વખતે આપણી પાસે એક એવો પ્રસંગ છે ને એક એવો મોકો છે કે જો આપણે બધા ભેગા મળીને મોહિનને જીતાડી શકીએ તો આપણા જે ટેક્સ ડોલર જાય છે ને આપણા છોકરાઓ જે સ્કૂલમાં જાય છે, તમને કદાચ ખબર હશે કે આપણી સ્કૂલની અંદર આપણને ઘણી બધી આપણા હિન્દુ તહેવારોની રજા મળતી નથી. ઘણી બધી વસ્તુઓ આપણે દાખલા તરીકે વેજીટેરિયન ફૂડ છે, આ બધી વસ્તુઓ આપણને મળતી નથી. છતાં સૌથી વધારે ભારતીયો ટેક્સ ભરે છે, છતાં પણ આપણને એટલા માટે જ આ બધાએ નક્કી કરેલું છે કે આ વખતે જો આપણે બધા મોહિનને જીતાડી શકીએ તો એ બધા આપણા બધા માટે ખૂબ જ સારું છે. હવે હું મોહિનને આપું છું.
Looking at elections this year, did you know that in 2020 there are approximately 2.5 million eligible voters of South Asian descent in the nation? By exercising this right to vote, our communities can ensure that they are being heard and represented in areas such as immigration, healthcare, the economy, education, housing, racial justice, and much more. South Asian community is the fastest growing demography in the nation, with several members of the diaspora now partaking and running for several seats in this election, including South Asian and African American Democratic Vice Presidential nominee Senator Kamala Harris. So what matters to us right now, and what's at stake in this election, and can South Asians make a difference? Discussing the South Asian American voice and the importance of voting in this election, we spoke with Assemblywoman Catalina Cruz. Assemblywoman Cruz represents District 39th in the New York State Assembly, one of the most diverse districts in the nation, comprising of a large number of South Asians. Here is what Assemblywoman Catalina Cruz shared with us while urging all to vote this cycle. What's happening in the nation with the elections, especially you are running for re-elections right now for your district. Just starting off, a little conversation on that. What are some of your key issues that you're still fighting for? And, when you look at your reign as the Assemblywoman, are you content with the changes that were made under you?
So I don't want to look at it as a reign because I'm not a queen. I I want to look at it, although it is a very a good way to think of things, I want to look at it as the 2 years that I've been fighting for our community. And so during those 2 years, we've had great advances. We have driver's licenses for all, we have the DREAM Act, we passed legislation to protect workers' rights, to protect tenants. We fought really tough battles to make sure that our community has the resources that it needs. Thankfully, I won the Democratic primary back in June, and I do not have a Republican opponent. So technically, it's almost like I already won, but I don't take anything for granted, and I keep inviting people to go out and exercise their right to vote, because it isn't just about me. There's also a Senate race, a congressional race, a presidential race, and we want to make sure that every single member of our community goes out and votes. And I'll tell you, the first time I ran, I learned something incredibly powerful about the South Asian vote. The number of people that came out to support me, and I venture to say one of the main reasons I won is because I reached out to the South Asian community. I reached out as an immigrant, as a worker, as a woman who wanted to fight for the rights of the underserved, and the South Asian community has been extremely kind to me, and I want them to go out and vote, because what I know about their power, their elected power, I want everybody else to find out. I want everyone else to see that when the South Asian community comes out and votes, you can change history.
You know, let's talk about the broader election, Assemblywoman, and all of the races that are going right now. According to you, what key issues are at stake for the communities that are that are immigrant communities or communities of color? What is at stake for all of us when we are looking at these very important elections?
I think one of the most important things is survival. What are the candidates who are going to help us survive whatever's left of this pandemic and get back on our feet once the pandemic is over? So who's offering a real plan around jobs, a real plan around healthcare, a real plan around housing, and ultimately, who is going to fight to make sure that the rights we've earned as immigrants, as women, as people of color, as workers, remain protected? And so for me, when folks go out and people go out to the polls, whether it's in my assembly, Senate, Congress, or president, those are the things you need to look at. Who respects you as an immigrant, as a human, as a person who's contributing to the community, and who's going to fight for your survival, the survival of your family, and ultimately the success of our community.
Who, according to you, would be perhaps the significant voters in these elections? Who are you looking at as in communities to really go out and advocate their voice?
So I like to see, there's the general answer would be, well, young people, they should go out and vote. I actually think that one of the most powerful votes are the aunts and aunties in the community, the people who have been forging the small businesses, who have been forging the trajectory for people like you and I, who have been in our country for decades, and who need to make sure that tomorrow we have a place that we can still call our country and our home. Because these are the folks who left other countries where our vote was not respected, and often it was actually dangerous to vote. And so I want to see the aunts and aunties who generally stay home and don't vote, the folks over 50 who don't always understand the need to vote because maybe they say this doesn't really affect me, be as powerful and as loud of a voice when it comes to casting their vote as young people in their 20s and in their 30s. They deserve to be heard just as much.
Many are also saying that the Black votes and the Latinx votes will play a major role in perhaps the swing states as well as other states, that we're also looking at. What is your personal take on it?
Look, I think we have seen in the last congressionals and presidential race 4 years ago that the Latino and the Black vote are extremely important in these swing states. And I'm hoping that these are the folks who understand the power that they've began to harness and will go out this time and still exercise that right to vote. But I don't want it to just be about us. I want to see non-traditional voters like the South Asian community go out, like the Muslim voter, go out and make sure that they're casting their vote. Because the same way that we've been fighting to have the power of the Latino and the Black vote be recognized for decades, and finally now it's getting seen, this is a place where we can start to make sure that the South Asian, the Muslim vote, the vote of the uncles and the aunties can be recognized as powerful. So we have to start now.
Well, this wraps up our show for the night. Remember to send us your suggestions and get your voices and organizations on our show. Email us on events@itvgold.com or follow us on Facebook @itvgold. You can also subscribe to our YouTube channel to watch many of our popular shows for free. Thank you for joining us tonight from Queens, New York. This is Vision of Asia, and I am Aditi Lamba. Take care and be well.